Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first installment of Unbiased America Live on our Unbiased America YouTube page. Pretty soon, we'll just be launching the show from our YouTube page, YouTube Live. Every week, also, we'll upload a little segment of the show to the Facebook page because we know that's getting popular. What isn't getting popular is Hillary Clinton's wardrobe. But we'll get into that a little later here. I know I'm a misogynist now, right? God forbid. Say what you want about Donald Trump, but mention, Hillary Clinton's wardrobe, and you're like the biggest misogynist in the world. Anyway, speaking of misogynism, we have an ISIS member on our with an American flag on. It's kind of weird. Um, Grant, I want to start with you. I don't know if you watched Donald Trump's speech today. I'm sure you heard a little bit about it. Your mic is cut off right now, I'm pretty sure. But did you think? How do you think he did with his visit there to Mexico? He went to Mexico. He met the Mexican president. He was about 3 times the size of him. I think he presented himself quite well. He stayed on message. He looked presidential. What do you think? Can you understand me? Do you need
Yeah,
me to do you need me to speak Arabic? Okay, that's okay.
I had background noise. No, I think his speech was a lot better than I was expecting, personally. He outlined a lot of really good goals for Mexican-American relations. I don't think that his diagnosis was correct as far as the tensions in our relations with Mexico.
About NAFTA? What about NAFTA? What do you think?
I have no problem with renegotiating trade deals, eliminating them, or creating barriers to trade. That is, I don't agree with that, and that's what I was going to say. Is that while he diagnosed some problems, my concern is that his solutions aren't actually going to fix them; they're just make them worse.
Right.
Um, but all in all, I mean, he was much better composed, more present,
Right.
and he looked like a more well-rounded candidate than what we've seen in the past. So, yeah, like I said, he definitely diagnosed the right issues. I question whether or not his solutions will actually address them the way they need to be addressed.
Ca
Uh, but he is. I do think that NAFTA. There's a fair argument that NAFTA should be renegotiated.
How did? Okay. Are you? Are you? Okay. Well, yeah, good one. Now, Kevin,
Yeah.
I want to get to you, and I kind of forgot what I was going to say there for a second. But no, Donald Trump's speech. I mean, he went down there. I think that it's funny that the I'll get into NAFTA later, and I'm going to get into trade deals later. But I think what the Mexican president was saying is like he was offended by the comments that Trump had made about immigrants, and I want to get to that. And what he was saying is what Mexico encourages. Look, Mexico likes that there's a porous border. They do get rid of their criminals. They do get rid of the lower skilled workers, and it's no longer their burden. It becomes ours.
Is there
And
a
if
question
you,
in there somewhere?
yeah. Anyway, so they send the most nefarious elements of their society to us, and they like that. It's less of a burden on their society. They encourage it. I mean, it's like, does Donald Trump have a point that that Mexican government uses the United States as kind of it's de facto welfare program?
Yeah, they do. I mean, and you had a great I don't know if people watched it, but you did a broadcast. What was it, last week? And you talked about immigration, and you talked about some of what we have to work on and what we have to change. I mean, he's dead on. I mean, aside from the PC rhetoric, you're not allowed to mention this stuff because it's anti-PC and it's anti-Mexican, anti-immigrant, racist, or whatever you want to call it. The truth of the matter is, don't you think, and I'm even talking to libertarians, I'm talking to open borders people out there, don't you think it would be better if we had a system that actually chose which people were coming into the country in terms of, okay, I don't want the people straight from your jail. I don't want the people from here, here, here. If you're going to have an immigration system, the way it seems to be working is let's keep out everybody except for the ones who can get here illegally. And it makes no sense. And actually, listening to Trump today in his news conference, I mean, he sounded sane. I mean, he didn't sound crazy. And I don't think any of us here are huge Trump fans.
Let me ask you this: does it chip away at the narrative that he's a nutcase, that he can't deal with other foreign leaders?
Yeah,
You think so?
absolutely. I watched it and I was impressed. But then again, I'm sure he was heavily sedated, and I'm sure they gave him a speech to read and everything because it didn't sound like the guy who's, on Twitter all day, typing about about how women are sluts and stuff.
You think they put lewds in his tostada this time?
I don't know. I think it might have been horse tranquilizers or something. But no, he put on. I mean, he looked presidential standing there. He said the right things. Maybe he was almost a little too low energy, if you want to call it that. But he said all the right things to President Nieto, and the Mexican president said all the right things to him. They sounded like two people who could possibly have a partnership going in the future in terms of making something work. And it might not be a gigantic wall, and guess what? It might not be a full deportation of every single immigrant, but
right.
They're going to try to make something work. I don't know. It just sounded more professional than what we've heard out of him so far.
Mike, call me utopian, but these NAFTA deals, this TPP,
utopian.
Can't the United States just unilaterally dump all tariffs and restrictions on trade by themselves? I mean, why do we need to have trade? Just say, look, we're going to have a free flow of trade. If you want to restrict trade, that's totally up to you. But we're going to make it more beneficial for the American people. Isn't that nationalism? I mean, to a degree, saying, look, we want to get the cheapest goods, the most quality goods at the best price possible. You know what I mean? Without charging the American people more money than we have to. Why do we need to have a trade deal? You know what I mean?
Traditional nationalism has been associated with protectionism.
No, I know, but I'm saying insofar as free trade is better for the country, and we know this. We know that empirically that you're going to be buying goods for less. If they want to pay more, let them do that. Aren't you looking out for your country first? I mean, you're adding to the savings. You're adding to whatever people can save. You're increasing investments. Isn't that better for the home country? What do we care if they have tariffs?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. This is actually Friedman's idea originally. I don't think I've ever heard anybody else use that idea. But the usual argument against that is that it weakens our ability to negotiate if we can't threaten to put tariffs on other countries.
I mean, tariffs one thing, sanctions is another. If it's a military thing, look, and the tariffs I'm talking about, I'm not talking about military secrets or military technology. I'm talking about just goods and services. I mean, what do we need to have leverage for? Our leverage is that we're going to have a more booming economy, a more powerful military. The less money we waste on goods because of tariffs, the more money we have to spend on battleships. I mean, jeez.
I agree with you. What I'm saying is that what people will say in the argument that I disagree with is that we won't have leverage to lower our trade costs to other countries. So when we export. So if the European Union wants to put a tariff on American exports, but we already allow European Union goods to come in free, then we have no leverage to say, well, we want to export to you. That's the argument against that is traditionally used against open trade. But I don't agree with that. I think that we would be better off anyway, and it would probably set an example for the rest of the world that would, when they see the results here, as has traditionally been the case, a lot of countries will follow suit.
Matty, same question to you. I mean, do you think it would be beneficial for the United States? I think we have 12,000 tariffs now. I think that's not including the tariffs we have on military technology, military exports, national security stuff. Do you think it would be beneficial for the United States to unilaterally get rid of all their tariffs? I mean, what would this do to the size and scope of government? I mean, isn't there a large bureaucracy that has to, initiate and implement these tariffs? I mean, how many bureaucrats have to be? Isn't government bigger because of the tariffs?
I mean, the problem I could see with us only getting rid of our tariffs while our other nations don't get rid of theirs is, while it would be good for American consumers and that they're spending less money, it does put our businesses who are exporting at a competitive disadvantage. So I think for that reason you'd want to have a trade.
Well, it does
deal
existing businesses, but one wouldn't take into account future businesses that would be created. I mean, it's just the natural allocation of resources. If you can't compete, you can't compete. Furthermore, it would limit the prospects of monopolies or, oligopolies, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm totally for taking it off. I just want all tariffs gone, not just ours.
Right. I mean, that's, I'm sure you could say, yeah, well, my business will be hurt. Yeah, well, in any competitive marketplace, that's the whole point.
It will.
Yeah, it's a net Alice.
Right? Go ahead, Grant.
Earlier when I said that, I can see an argument for renegotiating NAFTA. And what Matty said is other countries have trade restrictions that impact the United States.
Right.
I think for one, if you're gonna have, you need to renegotiate them as the economy changes and as the economy develops.
Okay.
If you're going to have them, I don't think you should, but if you're going to have them, things change.
And that's what Trump said during the news conference. He said we need to renegotiate NAFTA. It's 24 years old.
Right, and that's why I said I agree with him. If you're going to have it, it's time to renegotiate it.
Mm-hmm. I have one really serious question, though, for Grant. Do you think Helen Keller is Hillary Clinton's stylist?
I think a sack of potatoes looks better than 90% of what she wears.
Okay. I don't know if
it's North Korean chic.
I mean, I can't believe. Kudos to Armani Exchange to do whatever the hell they did and sell it for $20,000 a pantsuit. Like,
what was that thing she wore? Yeah, that it was like checkered. It was the most disgusting color of all time, and it looked like a burlap sack. Like they cut a hole in it, then popped her head through it. I mean, it literally looked like a burlap sack with legs. It was awful. You know what I mean? Kevin looks better than that after a Scotch bender, and I don't know, a bad night.
This is the least fashionable election of all time. I mean, he's got that hair, which I still don't understand where it begins and where it ends.
I don't understand what's going on with that. Yeah. It's like get a new hairdo. What's
I
the
know.
big deal?
Matty did. It worked out for him.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Looks like you got an awful lot. You have more of your mother's spit in your hair than usual.
I
Kevin,
need to use less gel.
I want to get to you on Hillary Clinton, who was actually wearing a somewhat similar outfit to Mike, and I'm going to use that a lot more tonight, Mike. She looked like the girl from Willy Wonka's, in the chocolate factory. The girl that turned into a blueberry. She did look like her. If you could turn back the clock 60 years and put that outfit on Hillary Clinton, she'd look just like that girl. That was chewing the gum all the time. Anyway, Hillary today was talking to a Veterans Council, right? And she was trying to win the middle. She's talking about American exceptionalism, that the America is the shining beacon of liberty. And, I think she even said at one point, I know you don't traditionally vote Democrat. She's really making a push towards Republicans that never Trump movement, I think. Do you think she can win over Republicans? Do you think she can win over that kind of more of the pro-American vote?
Yeah, and you know why? Because they're scaring the hell out of people. Have you guys been getting the ads on television? She's been running at least two that I can think of off the top of my head, nonstop. Ones that just show Trump swearing and saying, go F him up, and doing a couple things that are not very presidential, and saying, we are one, button away from tragedy or something like that. And it's scaring people. And people who would never, ever vote Democrat are thinking about voting for Hillary as the anti-Trump. Now, listen, I don't know whether or not that's an accurate depiction of Donald Trump, but it's, if people see that in their television set all day long, eventually they're going to start thinking it's true, and they're going to end up being scared towards Hillary. Now, I know there's a lot of people actually on the Democratic side. I don't think they're getting scared toward Donald, but maybe Jill Stein. Maybe they're going towards Gary Johnson. But I think I see a lot more crossover potential of Republicans voting for Hillary or not voting in all this election.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So you don't think? Do you think at this point there's any chance? And I guess we can get into this later, that Trump could win Pennsylvania?
No, yeah, I do. It's a very weird election. There's some states that are in play that shouldn't be in play in any other year.
I don't think he wins Pennsylvania. I don't think he wins Wisconsin.
No, he wants to win Connecticut. He thinks he can win Connecticut.
Oh, yeah, he's insane.
No, I know, but he did great. He did well versus the other Republicans in the primaries.
Means nothing.
But that means absolutely nothing, because Connecticut is one of the most liberal states out there. I'm living in it right now, and I know he's not going to win Connecticut. But he's trying, because if you looked at, I did a post today about what the election would have looked like if there was no universal suffrage. Let's just say that only white people could vote. It would have been a landslide in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been something like a 300 or 200 electoral vote landslide for Romney. But that's what he's facing, is the fact that he needs more than white votes to win. So he's out there and he's trying to get black votes. I don't know if that's ever going to be successful. He's trying to get Latino votes, and that's
just to be clear. No Republican even ever comes close to winning the black vote. So
no, which is unbelievable. They should, because the policies the Democrats have given the black community have failed utterly.
Right, but they depend on big government. So it makes sense. They're voting in their interest. But Mike,
Kevin,
go ahead.
so Kevin, the solution here is we only want white men to be able to vote, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, if the Republican Party wants to elect a president, they might want to revoke some of this universal suffrage.
God, this is just not a good episode for me. Hey, Kev, let's get to Mike. Okay, I don't know what everybody's writing things here, but I'm just saying, like, now we have Donald Trump, who was in fact trying, on immigration. He was running to the right during the primaries. He was mocking Jeb Bush. He was mocking Marco Rubio. He's moved to the left of these guys virtually on every issue. I mean, he is the Jeb Bush. He is the McCain on immigration now. He's softened so much on immigration. Is it, look at minimum wage. He's to the left. His protectionist policies are to the left. This guy is not at all even close to a conservative, and you still have Trump bots defending him. I mean, it's, he can't do anything wrong. At first I thought, okay, maybe he's saying I'm going to deport everyone. We're going to follow the law as like a negotiating tactic. But he's really moved off of that now. It's no longer a negotiating tactic. But who is this guy? Is he really just a progressive populist that wants to win and will say anything?
I think it's more likely that he's a libertarian or liberal plant by Hillary Clinton campaign at this point. It seems like he's trying to sabotage his own campaign. But no, it's you're not going to be able to reason with Trump supporters. There's not many of them, and he's not going to win the election. But the hardcore supporters that have been there from the beginning, they don't care about policy. They don't care about the specifics. They don't care if he's conservative or if he's libertarian or if he's progressive. They don't care. They care about how he acts. They care about the way he presents himself, that he's an outsider even though he's not really an outsider. And that's all they care about. You're never going to convince a Trump supporter to vote for someone else with a policy argument. It doesn't work on them.
The alt-right is not at all conservative, not even close to being conservative. They're more so like, they're more progressive. They're more progressive, very populist, very sycophantic, very much acolytes, like disciples of Trump. I mean, these guys don't like the Constitution. They debate them. They're telling me, the Constitution, it hasn't worked, and, what works? You know what I mean? Agrarian national populism or whatever these guys, I don't know what it is. But, I mean, they're definitely not conservatives. I did that video on immigration. And some people wrote, "Oh, you're alt-right." What are you talking about? That was conservative policy for I don't know how long. So I mean, these people are like a little bit confused. I don't know where have they been? Where were they 2 years ago, 3 years ago when we were fighting the immigration battle in 2012 with the Gang of Eight? Where was this mythical alt-right that all of a sudden seems to be outraged? I mean, Matt would know this. Matt, you're in these little chat rooms with the 4chan. Yeah. I don't even know what 4chan is. Who is that?
It's 4chan. It's kind of like Reddit for serial killers.
Oh, okay. And then they're on Reddit too. A lot of these guys, they're sitting in their mommy's basement. Their mom's probably a Hillary Clinton fan. They're down there, all Trump-bottish. You know what I mean? And then most of them are probably former Ron Paul supporters because they got to jump from one luminary to the next. I mean, what is this alt-right? What's this Milo Yiannopoulos guy with the blonde hair and the things he says are perhaps the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
First of all, Milo's an amazing human being.
I wish that guy would disappear. Please just disappear.
No, he's going to be at my wedding, so you're going to be there too. So obviously, you two are going to meet. The hell was I saying? What is the alt-right?
Yeah, I mean,
your wedding. Hold on. You're getting married?
Are you marrying Milo? Like you and Milo are walking down the aisle?
Hey, Will, your mic is all staticky, buddy.
I'm not black, so you wouldn't date me. But no, I was looking into it the other day, and apparently the term alt-right wasn't coined until 2010, so it is relatively new. Though, I mean, if we're going to compare it to, let's say, the alt-left, there's people going outside Trump rallies and beating Trump supporters, I think the alt-right is a lot more safe, even if the rhetoric is racist or anti-Semitic.
But doesn't their rhetoric hurt the cause? I mean, Grant, these people sound like, I mean, if a third grader were to present an argument about immigration, it would be as eloquent as name anyone on the alt-right. I mean, Milo Yiannopoulos, whatever that half-wit's name is.
Asshole.
What is it?
Yiannopoulos.
Snuffleupagus? Anyway, this guy, I don't think he knows anything about the history of immigration, the economics of immigration, the current immigration policy. He just says dumb things and he's gay, and I think that's why people listen to him, as if I'm supposed to care who he makes out with in his alone time. Like, what does this have to do with anything?
Well, I think the alt-right is sort of like, I mean, Bernie Sanders gave birth to the progressive left, sort of, I guess Matt called it the alt-left. Donald Trump gave birth to like sort of alt-right in that sense of it.
But the alt-left always existed.
But it only existed because Obama's been president for 8 years.
No, this alt-left has always existed.
Presidents. You had people like Elizabeth Warren.
You don't think Marxism existed far longer?
But listen,
in academia?
I agree, that the alt-right is anything but conservative, and really what they are is a populist right-wing party.
Right.
I mean, not party, but ideology, I guess.
They're a progressive party. Right, it's a leftist party. It's a leftist attitude.
A lot of their, I hate to use the word drones, but followers think that they are a conservative, that they're like a Reagan conservative, and they're not at all. I don't think that they realize what they represent is sort of like an offshoot of like Italian fascism.
Right. You went out.
Liberalism in its own way, and I don't mean to like try to call them Nazis or anything, but fascism in the term of Italian.
Yeah, but that you're absolutely right from a historical perspective. Their rhetoric, the progressive. I'm not talking about just the alt-right, but the progressive, the Democrat Party is similar.
Running for president right now.
Right, but the Democrat Party, progressives, did the same thing at the turn of the century. The Italian fascists did. The alt-right are doing it today, and they use the language of the left. That's what they're doing. Go ahead.
I think you guys are just a bunch of cucks.
Oh yeah, that's their argument. There it is.
Argument over.
Cuckservative. That is that is the dumbest term ever. Like, I will use actual argumentation, and and I get cuck, and they write that over and over, and they put. Why is it that Trump supporters use a lot of exclamation points and caps? I don't. That's another thing that gets me.
Will, the one thing you got to be careful about, and a serious point here, is that the left is conflating the real alt-right with the conservatives who just want a common sense sort of non-open border policy, and they're trying to lump them all in together.
Brilliant, really.
Yeah, and it's a brilliant strategy because people are afraid to admit that they're anti-immigration now. They want they don't want open borders. They want a wall, or they want people to. It doesn't make them racist. I mean, there are a lot of people who this alt-right is a very real thing, but when you start lumping in the base, the conservatives, in with that crowd, you are really going to start making people very shy about what they support, what they say, and who they vote for.
And just to clarify, I don't think the whole alt-right is racist. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying they provide cover for a lot of anti-Semitic, racist people that want to dive in there, and this I'm not PC. So that means I guess that means you can use any word you want to use. I mean, you're loon jobs. It's like, what's anti-PC too is when Colin Kapernick doesn't stand up for the national anthem, but I'm going to call him out and say the guy's a goofball. He's a halfwit, and I'm going to do the same. Go ahead.
It's like they're fighting the left, who will blast anything as racist, misogynistic, etc., by actually being racist, misogynistic, etc.
Right, and it gives, like Kevin said, it gives them fodder, it gives them ammunition to lump us all together, and it makes, like I always say, the job that we do at Unbiased America, it makes our job harder. When I make these arguments, I've had so many people say that I've read some people sent me some things that I was disparaging Mexicans and praising the Chinese, and you know what I mean, that not even addressing my arguments or glossing over them entirely, or saying, Mexican immigrants use less welfare and so on by skewing the numbers, or however it is that they do it. And if I provide CIS information or fair.org, people are like, they're racist. They're at the Southern Poverty Law Center said that they're, you know what I mean? It's just like, what's going on here? It's like you can't even make a decent argument anymore. So I think that, the alt-right provides them with ammunition to dismiss good arguments. And that's really what's going on. I'm just curious as to, Kevin said, Grant, that Kevin was stipulating, and he's usually really good at this, that Hillary Clinton will win the support of some Republicans in the middle. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think that there are some Republicans who are almost so angry at the GOP that they're just going to and vote for Hillary. But at the same time, I think Gary Johnson will probably pull votes away from Hillary.
He is. He is doing that.
He definitely is. And going back to what you were saying about the alt-right sort of saturating the conservative message, libertarian message, whatever you want to call it. Gary Johnson really is doing the same thing in its own way of saturating the libertarian message. And even where I disagree with him and the quote-unquote libertarian message, I mean, that's what's happening. So I think what's now is it seems that we're coming to a convergence of sort of everything is moving to the left as a whole.
Right, for sure.
There is no ideological debate between conservatives and liberals.
Mm-hmm.
You have the alt-right, which by all means is a leftist movement. I mean, they can call themselves whatever they want. They're leftists. And a lot of their biggest supporters are leftists. And again, the only possible conservative candidate could come out of the Libertarian Party, and now he's a leftist.
We have 3 leftists running.
And Hillary Clinton. I don't even need to explain that. And so everything is shifting that direction, and it's really making it difficult for people who want to project a different viewpoint.
Jill Stein is the most conservative candidate in this election.
I mean, yeah.
No.
So, Kevin, do you agree? Do you think that, I mean, we've talked about this, but the political spectrum's moving further left, that the left has been so adept at attacking the right as being lunatics, crazy, to shift the political spectrum. Now we have candidates that run center-left. I mean, look at how far Trump has moved. Here's a Republican candidate talking about raising the federal minimum wage and imposing it on the states. I mean, this is what, you know.
I don't think he's actually moving, though. I think if you look back at his history of statements, he said, I mean, he's been more pro-minimum wage in his past than he's been anti-minimum wage. He's been pro-socialist, social medicine and health care than anti. That's all. Recently, in fact, to run for the Republican nomination, he moved right. So I'm not necessarily sure that he's moving left as opposed to just moving back.
On immigration he did, and minimum wage he did. I know that just from where he was campaigning at. But certainly immigration recently, he's moved into the Rubio camp. Moved into the amnesty camp to a degree. I mean,
yeah.
I don't. You know, it's like, okay, you're moving, you're shifting. We knew that. Look, didn't Ted Cruz say that was going to happen? He's lying to you.
I mean, it does it does. I mean, I think we're being a little unfair in terms of saying that it's unique to him. It's not. I mean, it happens to everybody. I don't think any of the other candidates, once they've won the nomination, have moved further to the right. I think people generally move to the center when they win the nomination, and if you're a liberal, you try to move to the center as well. I don't know if that's going to work for Hillary this year, since Bernie actually made her look conservative by comparison. Even though I can't believe I just said that, but yeah. And the one thing I think we're forgetting to mention is the big change this election cycle is that the gloves have come off with the media. They're not even bothering to pretend to be unbiased. They're not even bothering to pretend to have any sort of journalistic integrity anymore. They're just coming out after trying to absolutely put down Trump and get Hillary elected. I've never seen anything like this in my life, and I've been around since Garfield administration. So
right. Since the contentious Thomas Jefferson, John Adams runoff there.
That's right.
And you were well into your 30s.
Thank God we have Unbiased America to sort this out.
Yeah.
No bias here.
No.
Can I make a point here, Will?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think we're talking about the alt-right and maybe moderate Republicans and kind of how the alt-right gets grouped in with real conservatives and real Republicans. And I think this is actually a compelling reason for people that lean Republican, that are Republican, or maybe even conservative, to vote for Hillary Clinton. Because if Donald Trump wins this election, and if he's as bad as a president as a lot of us think he's going to be, all these policy failures and all the things that he does is going to be blamed on conservatism, blamed on the right. Even if they're not right policies, even if they're not conservative policies, his failures will be blamed on conservatives.
Mm-hmm.
That could set any sort of conservative turnaround back for a couple decades.
Because the left controls the narratives. Look, what is FDR as a hero? Nobody hears about the internments, him stacking the court. You know what I mean? The man is just considered you don't hear, hey, he interned Japanese Americans, put them in internment camps, American citizens. Nope, he's a hero. Whatever Donald Trump will do, it'll be all the conservatives' fault. right? I mean, look at how they sanitize their own history just by controlling the narratives. You're absolutely right. That's exactly what's going to happen. And Maddie, if I'm crazy here, or call me crazy, but my strategy would be that if Donald Trump were to win, it would be a squeaker. He'd have no clear mandate. I think that the Democrats would win the Senate. I think that you'd have a divided government. It would be hard for Donald Trump to implement any of his tariffs. I mean, that's kind of what I would be in general hoping for. Is that too crazy?
Oh, totally crazy. No, if you look at there's actually John Stossel has a website called electionbettingodds.com, and it aggregates like all the people betting on elections and gives you like an implied probability that a certain event will happen. And right now, I think there's something like a 60% chance the Democrats will take back. I can't remember if it's the House or the Senate. I think the Senate. So it is very likely. And I actually read about this recently. If you look at the way the stock market is behaving, it's behaving as if actually, I'll explain this a little differently. So the consensus on Wall Street is that Hillary would be a lot more stable for markets, and right now the stock market's behaving relatively stable, so it doesn't appear to be pricing in really any chance that Trump's going to win. So right now it just seems like everyone's betting on a Hillary victory and Democrats controlling the Senate.
Okay.
Maddie, quick question, Maddie. Think of
Yeah.
a number from
Yeah,
from 1 to 3. Tell me it.
2.
That's it. That was the number I was thinking of. That is the chance that Trump's going to win. There's a 1 in 3 chance that Trump's going to win. According to 538 blog, there's a 1 in 3 chance he's going to win right now. And I thought of the number 2. You thought of the number 2. Boom. That's how easy it would be for him to win.
I don't know, man. I think he's got a tough road, but I don't. All this stuff with the speculation, the stock market also working in whether there's going to be a rate hike and so on and so forth. Who knows? And this thing that investors think Hillary's going to be more stable for the market. I mean, just because
It's stupid, but
the only reason why is because they're going to continue the same policies we have now.
it's because they're her largest donor, so she's going to have
That
policies
too.
that are beneficial
Right.
to them.
Right. I mean, you know, she's the protectionist of whatever, you know, from the standpoint of regulations and so on that protect, you know, whatever businesses that are open now or whatever lobbies we have now that protect those businesses from a regulatory standpoint.
Her largest. Well, I was going to say her largest donor is the financial industry, and it's given $47 million to her.
What about trial
that's
lawyers?
unpressed. Trial lawyers are third. I think it's like
Okay.
teachers' unions are second.
That's
for
shocking.
Trump, for Trump, his biggest donor is retirees, and they only given $6 million. So
Wow.
like her number 1 is even more than his top whatever.
Who would you say the number 1 was, Maddie? I didn't hear you.
For
Wall Street?
Hillary, it's finance. For
Yeah.
Trump, it's retirees.
That's funny. Isn't the Republican Party the party of the 1%, the Wall Street?
That's the narrative. I mean, you can make these narratives and they stick, even though if they're completely false, it doesn't matter.
But Hillary's the actual corporatist here. Am I right, Grant?
Absolutely. Look at her donor list.
Right.
Oh, J.P.
To
Morgan.
be fair, there was a group on the left, the burn victims, had rightly pointed this out for months that Hillary was the Wall Street candidate.
But Mike,
So even people on the left do recognize this?
aren't they pro-capitalist though? Wall Street isn't that all pro-capital, pro-competition, pro-market?
Having worked in the finance industry for 10 entire weeks, not necessarily.
Really? They're not
Really.
They don't like
Well,
competition.
listen, I mean, what Wall Street should be is funding new businesses, venture capital. A lot of what finance is just shifting money around. So not necessarily.
Right. So they want to shift money to a protected market, most likely. Am I right? One that can charge far above marginal cost.
Totally.
I mean, that's the whole point, isn't it? That you protect your market, you create some, the corporatist wants to create some leeway where they can charge, maximize profits, charge a monopoly price. Isn't that the whole point? And they do that through antitrust, the Justice Department's antitrust division. They do it through the regulatory divisions, and that's why they're giving Hillary money, because they know they're going to keep up the same policies that protect their, respective markets. It's corporatism at its finest. I mean, that's how they control how resources work. They love the progressive tax code. Hillary wants to make it even more progressive. The loopholes help them. That's what's they fear Trump's tax proposals too. I'm sure to a degree. Grant, I don't think we ever talked about this, but Facebook censoring. I wanted to get to this last. I mean, what was it? Being libertarian, right? And being Occupy Democrats' logic was shut off. Do you notice at We Are Capitalists that posts are being restricted, or you're not getting as many likes as you used to, even with more people that follow the page?
I will say that if we post anything related to race, it seems to not perform as well as other
Right.
posts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys have had that experience at UA.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Typically, if you're doing like a quick little post with some statistics about it, it won't matter. But the longer posts where you probably drop keywords more often, I think they get throttled because I've shared them somewhere else and they perform amazingly. As far as the 2 pages that got shut down, supposedly Facebook said that it was like their own algorithm that busted them for it. But the fact is that, I mean, at WAC, I've seen these leftist pages, the most divisive,
Mm-hmm.
hateful, just despicable things that you could say about another human being, strictly because of a political difference.
What was the one with the what? There was the white people lined up, and then they had the crackers underneath it. You know what I mean? Wasn't that? What was that? Was that Occupy Democrats?
I
What
think
was
that
that?
was U.S. Uncut.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not a cracker. I'm a saltine American.
But they post that, and they post outright lies on a daily
Right.
basis. And WAC we have documented this down to the T, and they do it with impunity. You know, and yeah, you have the freedom of speech, but if your community standards are based on what is offensive versus what is an outright lie, I think you have your priorities a little backwards.
Okay. Kevin, do you notice the same thing? I mean, like when I write Black Lives Matter posts, they never get a lot of hits. Or if I do things on the Constitution, how the Constitution isn't racist, I mean, it doesn't perform as well. If you're doing longer posts with keywords, I mean, do you see the same thing kind of happening?
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely noticed that your posts definitely do worse than all of our posts. That's got to be some sort of censoring thing. I don't know what that is, but the thing
Gotta be throttling.
The thing is that Facebook is like any other organization. The people that you staff your organization with, they're going to have a mindset that they bring to the company, and bias is all sort of in the eye of the beholder. And what you and I see as bias or racist or in some way offensive, they're going to see as just the truth, and vice versa. They're going to see something
Exactly.
that we see as the truth is going to be offensive to them. I mean, the algorithm. What I think is happening is they are picking up words. I've noticed words like any word for a gay person, any sort of word that's used to slander gay people. If you type that lately, you get shut down. I mean, poor Dominic Vietti has every time he comes back to the internet, there's like people watching his house for the first word out of his mouth, and they cart him off to a Facebook prison for a month. But this is new. This is brand new because this is not something that happened on this sort of level in the past, and I don't know. I thought it would get better at Facebook, to be honest. It's gotten worse ever since they had their meeting with conservatives, following the revelation that the staff at Facebook was actually censoring conservative posts. They had a big meeting with conservatives, and they said we're not going to do it, and blah blah blah. And it's gotten worse.
Why is it, Kevin? Kevin, why is it that all these multi-billion-dollar corporations are all leftists? Isn't this aren't these the biggest capitalists, the 1%?
Corporatist. I mean, frankly, the people that want.
But what does corporatist mean? What is people conflate that. People think that these are ardent capitalists and they love capitalism and that's how they make money.
No.
What's the difference here?
Capitalism is the worst thing to have to be a part of if you're a company that wants to be successful, because capitalism, all that means is you have to compete for your money. The government's not going to give you a break. In free market capitalism, by the way, I'm not talking about what America has right now, but in free market capitalism, there's nobody putting their thumb on the scale for your company. You have to compete not just with other domestic corporations, but you have to compete overseas with the companies overseas. And the person who produces the best service or product wins. That's true free market capitalism. Corporatism has nothing to do with that. That's combining the power of the government with the power of a corporation, and that's what you see in America today. A lot of what you see in America today.
So you mean to tell me that a business can't force people to buy its goods or services? Is that
It's
what you're telling
crazy
me?
how just because you're greedy doesn't mean you somehow get more money. You know, I mean, greed
If you
does
could
not.
sell greed, Mike Lee would be so rich.
I know.
He would make Donald Trump look like me living under a bridge.
Yeah, I
Wouldn't you,
mean,
Mike?
greed doesn't work. Greed doesn't work on its own. You have to have a product people are willing to buy.
Okay. Mike, I had a question all prepared for you, and then I completely forgot it. But it looks like you're in your kitchen. Is that true?
I'm in a dining room, which is next to a kitchen.
So I see. So you have a dining room that's adjacent to your kitchen.
Right. Yeah, I don't live in a 4x4 bedroom like you. Which, by the way, congratulations on upgrading from under the bridge.
Thank you. Kevin laughs at you because his dining room is like you got to walk, like through a whole hallway. Probably it's a good 30 feet from his kitchen, and only servants travel that area. It's the servant area.
Wait, I have a question for Mike. I got a question for Mike. Since you're an idiot and forgot whatever the stupid.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so we're talking about Facebook and censoring. And obviously, Facebook, they're a private company. They have the right to affiliate and associate with whoever they want. But at the same time, people who use that, this is myself and you guys, we have a right to free speech. Now, constitutionally, that's only guaranteed a guaranteed protection against the federal government, not necessarily against a private entity. However, the fact is that Facebook has an enormous reach to a lot of different people with a lot of different views, and censoring a selected view certainly has an impact on the expression of speech. So with a company like Facebook that has so many users, I think that there is a case that Facebook is violating free speech, maybe not necessarily the First Amendment, if they are in fact censoring people.
No.
No, I mean, they're certainly doing it, but as you said, they have every right to do it. It's not necessarily free speech. If I'm running an event, if I'm a multi-million-dollar recording artist, which I never will be, but if I am, you don't have a right to get on my microphone and yell what you want. And Facebook is just providing a platform, microphone, and it's their event, and they can do what they want with it. Now, in a competitive marketplace, and the internet is still one of the most competitive, if not the most competitive marketplaces in the entire world, if someone sees this and if there's a void to fill, then someone should go out and compete with Facebook. And I think that Facebook is actually losing a little bit of market share right now as it is. So if they continue down this path and not being what people like, then they're going to lose market share. And that's the beauty of capitalism, and that's the beauty of America. We can't restrict how Facebook does things because Facebook is a private company.
Yeah, Twitter does the same thing too. So it's like the left has a stranglehold on every media outlet, social media, cable television, newspapers, everything, print media. It's like they're everywhere. How is it that they're everywhere? And then you have Fox News, which people conflate with conservative. That's not conservative news. It's not even close. Those are they're a shill for the establishment, for the Chamber of Commerce. Murdoch is a big. Here's another guy that owns multiple corporations. He's a Chamber of Commerce guy. It's like there is no legitimate conservative media. There is not that I know of. Sean Hannity is not a conservative. I don't know if there's any conservative or really libertarian media. And it's like just because Fox News is different, somehow it gets this label as they're conservative.
Not mainstream.
Right.
Mean, what do you consider media? I mean, you still have National Review and Forbes.
No, but I'm not saying there isn't any. I'm just saying that they have there's more liberal outlets. They have a stranglehold on a lot of the media.
Oh, there's certainly more. Yeah, there's certainly.
Yeah.
I would say the Blaze is a pretty good conservative outlet.
Yeah, I mean, is the Blaze as big as MSNBC?
Leftists,
Right.
Well, maybe actually, to be honest, I don't know.
I mean, but there's a lot of people that don't know the Blaze too. You know what I mean? But I want to wrap it up, guys. We'll do a longer show next week, and we'll get back into our winners and losers of the week. But please follow our pages. We are Capitalists, Unbiased America, Being Classically Liberal. We will have our little video out today, right after the show, on Colin Kapernick. You can go to our videos on Unbiased America to find that. Please visit our website. We have a lot of great posts there. Also, you can if you want to make fun of Kevin's hat or Grant's hat or face, you can also write in our inbox and ask us questions. Grant, yes, I actually had a lot of people inquire. They want to know if they want to see his papers.
You can email me.
Yeah, and also people are inquiring. They want you to get a new microphone.
Yeah, it's not the problem. He's got to turn up the threshold.
Yeah, he doesn't know what he's doing.
No,
you know what?
he
You
has
should
no
get tech
idea.
advice from Kevin.
Exactly. That's how bad he is.
Right. He actually wrote the book of Genesis. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.